In the film Get Out, director Jordan Peele offers the viewers a commentary on race in America. This film is one of the few in the horror genre that has a black protagonist and a clear message. Prior to the release of this film, Peele was mainly known for his film work and comedy, and so his attempt to critique racism in America in the way of a horror thriller was inspired by the ways in which black characters are often portrayed in those genres. The psychoanalysis technique is shown in the film when looking at Sigmund Freud's theory of the unconscious and conscious mind. The story of this film is about Chris, a black man who is visiting his white girlfriend's family for a weekend. At first, it seems like a normal trip until the movie unfolds the truth that Rose and her family are trying to kidnap Chris, like they have done to multiple and only black people, to hypnotize them, put them in a sunken place, and take over their bodies for their use. When using the concept of Freud's psychoanalysis, Chris's childhood trauma experience are a big factor. Chris's mother passed away in a car accident when he was a little boy. He tries to run away from his fears, but when being hypnotized by Missy, she brings it up to instill more fear into him. To keep his emotions repressed, he decides to be in the stage of denial as a child. Sandra Cohen's article is looking at the influence of his childhood trauma and how that was used during the hypnosis. He waited on his bed for his mom to open the door and come in, knowing she wouldn't. His view of reality as a black man also changes. Chris mentions feeling nervous around too many white people, which gives him anxiety. The climax of this film which is the hypnosis scene for Chris, starts with what looks like a therapist-to-patient type conversation that starts off with intense questions about his relationship to a full-on hypnosis. The irrational human behavior from the Armitage family of hypnotizing their victims to have their organs is a strange drive to want specifically from black men and women. This film, as told us from director Peele, is to show the audience the racially motivated anxiety of being a black person feels like, with a horrific twist. Moving on, this image is from the sunken place scene in the film. The sunken place is a dark outer world for the African-American victims brought in by the Armitage family. The victims are trapped while their bodies are taken over by the Caucasian host. The hypnosis, Missy puts her black victims into trances, having them stuck in the sunken place, where she holds all control, and then later comes the transplant. The sunken place represents the full control the family has over the victims. This image is a teacup of Missy's hand during the sunken place scene. The shaky music and the enhanced loud sound of her scratching the spoon against the cup lets the viewers know how she is hypnotizing Chris. Their conversation starts off with her creepily seated in the living room and asks intense questions about her daughter, whom he is dating. The camera angles go from the cup to Missy's face to Chris's very quickly each time they say a line to fear the viewers. The emotions of Missy are blank, whereas Chris goes from somewhat calm to paralyzed and feared. The scene is dark with a lamp in the corner of the room being the only light source in the living room. The next scene from the sunken place shows Chris screaming for help and being dragged into the sunken place. The scene is completely pitch black as he is falling into a dark universe where no one can hear him. After the first few minutes of her hypnosis, the creepy music stops as well as their conversation, and she tells him to sink into the floor once. Chris begs and she says sink in a deep demonic voice, where he then literally sinks into his seat, isolated in the dark silence of the sunken place. This image is a bird's eye view type shot to get the viewers to see the fear in Chris's face where he has been brought into this dark world. The sound of this scene goes from high-pitched to very deep until there is pure silence. The combination between the sound and camera angle during the shot allows the viewers to almost feel like they're in the sunken place with him. Lastly, this is one of the last photos that close off the sunken place scene. The music in this scene is enchanted in a creepy way. The metaphor this image shows is showing the feelings of weakness and fear that black people face in America due to systemic racism. The lighting of this photo is dark. Chris is sitting on Missy's chair with one lamp on to set the creepy mood. The shot is directly in the actor's face to showcase the true fear Chris is feeling. The emotions of the characters' faces are clear that he is being frightened and helpless as he is being hypnotized. Chris is scared and has been crying uncontrollably as Missy is hypnotizing him throughout their conversation and scraping her teacup until Chris is frozen and thrown into the sunken place, as shown in the previous images. This final shot in the scene shows the true, pure fear installed in his face, as in his mind he is sunken, where he can feel, see, but not hear anything, while his body is physically paralyzed in her seat. At the end of the scene, she says, "Now you're in the sunken place."